call the Nashville Town Council meeting to order for April the 8th. Would you please stand for the pledge?
I'm gonna sit, Mayor.
Okay, you may. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we invite you into our meeting tonight, and we request your knowledge and your guidance in helping us make the right decisions for all the citizens of Nashville. Amen.
Amen. May I first, before we get started?
Yes.
To the audience we have out here, this is the very first time in my lifetime that I have sat down and pledged allegiance to our flag, but I had an accident this afternoon, and I can't hardly stand up. So, I'm in pain. But that's why I did not stand. Well,
we forgive you. And also, Councilman Harrison is out tonight with an illness, so sorry he can't be here. The first item on our agenda is the minutes of the March 19th meeting. Did any of you find any corrections to that? If not, do I hear a motion that we approve those minutes?
So made.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
At this time, it's public comments, and we have Coy World.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
We have a lot of activities planned this weekend that I just want to make sure everybody was aware of and remind. On Friday, we have the opening day of our farmers market. This will be our 4th season. Market is from 3 to 7. We have live music with Meredith Johnson that same time frame, and then we have a concert with Scythian starting at 7 o'clock that day. And then on Saturday morning, we have our Egg Sighting Saturday event, starting with an egg hunt in Stony Creek Park at 10 a.m. sharp, and then followed with some activities inside the rec center. Pictures with the Easter Bunny, crafts, games. We added a touch-a-truck event outside and a bounce house. And then we also have a sensory-friendly egg hunt at 2 p.m. at the rec center on Saturday as well. So we are aware that there is rain in the forecast, or a chance of it, but we are at this point still planning to move forward as planned with everything.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sounds like great fun. Moving on down, the first item on our agenda under reports and special presentations is our financial audit report. Tressa, would you like to introduce?
Yes, before you is Hunter Wiseman with Thompson Hardstadt and Adams Company. He'll be submitting our 2024 annual audit.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Can you hear me well?
Yes.
In front of you, you should have a copy of the full audit report as well as a copy of the presentation summary. I do want to point out on the audit report that it does still have the draft watermark. These have been submitted to the LGC, but the LGC has not yet accepted them, so we have to keep the watermark on there. Tonight, we're going to be reading from the presentation summary. The information contained in the presentation summary comes from the audit report, but it pulls out specific figures that we think are most important.
Okay.
And yes, that would be the black packet.
Okay.
To start, we have the letter to governance. I'm going to read through this briefly. It notes that we've audited the financial statements for the governmental and business type activities as of June 30th, 2024 for the town of Nashville. Nashville has adopted GASB 100 accounting changes and error corrections effective for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2024, and that we noted no transactions entered into the town of Nashville during the year that were both significant and unusual. Accounting estimates are an integral part of the financial statements that are prepared by management. We are not aware of any significant estimates or assumptions during the audit. And because of the financial statement disclosures that are particularly sensitive, there are some limitations on the financial statements, but there were no such disclosures identified. And we feel that the financial statement disclosures are neutral, consistent, and clear. On page 2, we note that we encountered no significant difficulties when dealing with management and performing and completing our audit. And I always like to take a moment here to thank the finance officer and her staff who helps. I think that everyone knows, as of the timing of this presentation, that the last 2 fiscal year audits have been late, but Tressa and her staff have done a really good job of helping us to try to get through these audits, and I think that this puts us in a really good position for fiscal year 2025 to have an on-time audit. In the next paragraph, we note that we are not aware of any uncorrected misstatements that would be material to the financial statements, and we noted no disagreements with management. The representation letter was received on April 2nd, 2025. We are not aware of any consultations with independent accountants. And then at the bottom of page 2, we note our other audit findings or issues, and I'm going to go through these. There's going to be more detail on these at the end of the presentation summary, but just to briefly cover them. There were prior period restatements that we noted in finding 2024-001. We did note that bank reconciliations, receivables and payables and inventory need to be reconciled on a more timely basis in finding 2024-002. We did note that the audit was issued 5 months after the required due date of October 31st. This is finding 2024-003. And that there were budget violations noted in both the general fund and the water and sewer fund disclosed in 2024-004. As a part of the audit, we prepared the LGC's data input. It provides us with financial performance indicators of concern. These are not findings, but items that the LGC feels is important to note. We had one financial performance indicator of concern relating to the water and sewer capital asset condition ratio being 0.49. The target is 0.50 or greater. The indication that can come from this is that your infrastructure is getting older and might need replacement soon. Replacement or repair. As far as other matters, we do want to note that GASB number 101, compensated absences, is going into effect for the fiscal year ended 2025, and that management needs to be aware and ready for the implementation. And lastly, that the information contained in this is intended for the town council and the town of Nashville and should not be used by anyone other than the specified parties. Going to page 4. You have a breakdown of the financial information for the town over the past 5 fiscal years. After page 4, we also have a graphical breakdown that's going to cover it a little bit. It's going to make it a little bit easier to see the trend. So for this, we're going to cover just fiscal year 2024. The total fund balance for the general fund was $4.8 million, and unavailable fund balance was roughly $940,000. Restricted and assigned fund balance was roughly $1 million, and general fund expenditures were roughly $8.6 million. As a percentage of general fund expenditures, fund balance available was 45.85%. Unassigned fund balance was $3.8 million, and as a percentage of unassigned fund balance, it was 45.06%. Going into the revenues over and under expenditures before considering contributions and transfers, the general fund had losses of $927,000, the capital reserve fund of $226,000, the water and sewer fund had income of $921,000, and the storm water of $64,000, and all other governmental funds accounted to $2.6 million in losses. Cash versus accumulated depreciation for the water fund, total fixed assets accounted to $14.7 million, accumulated depreciation was $7.56 million, and cash was $3.6 million. I do note here that prior period restatements relating to the capital assets impacted the total of fixed assets and accumulated depreciation as of June 30th, 2023, and that we have updated the presentation summary with the restated balances for a better comparison. Next, you enter your cash and investments versus fund balance and net position. Cash for the general fund was $4.2 million. Cash in the capital reserve was roughly $800,000. Cash in the water and sewer fund was roughly $3.6 million. And then cash in the other governmental funds was roughly $1.5 million. The fund balance for the general fund, as noted, was roughly $4.9 million. The capital reserve fund, roughly $800,000. The water and sewer fund, roughly $10.2 million. the stormwater fund, 105,000, and other governmental funds were roughly $500,000. The property tax rate was 0.61. Collection percentage was 97.47%, and excluding motor vehicles, 97.15%. The total property valuation was $465 million, and the total levy amount was $2.8 million. Debt, excluding OPEB, compensated absences, and ELGERs, was roughly $2 million for the governmental activities and roughly $9,000 for business-type activities. On page 5, you have a breakdown of the general fund revenues and expenditures. The two largest sources of revenue for the general fund were ad valorem taxes at $2.8 million and intergovernmental revenues at $3.7 million. And the largest expenditures were public safety at roughly $3.9 million and cultural and recreational at $1.6 million. Going into page 6, this starts the graphical information. Again, I think that this helps to see the trend of how things are going over time. You can see that the total fund balance has decreased from 2023, but also the restricted and assigned fund balance has also decreased and has been decreasing since fiscal year 2022. As of analysis of fund balance available, at 45.85%, it has decreased from prior years all the way back to 2020. The group weighted average, it's always going to be a year trailing. The state prepares those numbers for us, so they have to wait until the audit reports are ready in order to provide it for the current fiscal year. So you're only going to ever see 4 years. But the most recent year, the average group weighted fund balance available was 98.78%. On page 7, you see that your unassigned fund balance as a percentage of general fund expenditures was 45.06%. It's been roughly consistent for the previous 3 fiscal years. And the bottom chart here presents the analysis of revenue over and under expenditures before transfers and contributions. You can see here that other governmental revenues had significant expenditures this year. And I think that it's a good time to note that the Fire Station 2 Capital Project Fund would be a part of those other governmental funds, as well as any other project funds. And I did note that Nashville had quite a number of projects going on, so it's not unanticipated that there's going to be quite a bit of expenditures. And it's important to note with this chart that other financing sources are not included in this. So for example, if there is any debt proceeds or transfers from other funds to finance those projects, they would not be represented in this chart. On page 8, for the water and sewer fund, you can see that your total fixed assets have been relatively consistent. Your accumulated depreciation is growing, and that's to be expected. As the fixed assets get older, the accumulated depreciation will increase. Cash has also increased, and it's at its highest level for 2024, and it's been steadily increasing since 2021. At the bottom of the page, you can see a breakdown of your cash balances and your fund balances. You can see that for cash, the largest portion of cash is in the general fund. The largest portion of the fund balance, or the net position, is in the water and sewer fund. On page 9, you have your property tax rates. It has increased from fiscal year 2023 when it was 0.58 to 0.61. I did note in the budget ordinance that it's being decreased for the next fiscal year by 2 cents. And the group weighted average as of 2023 was 0.318. At the bottom, you have your collection percentages. You can see that there was a drop in the collection percentage versus 2023 and prior years. That is something to note and might be worth the tax department investigating what can be done to do a better job as far as collecting those due taxes. On the last page of the charts, you have a breakdown of your general fund revenues and your general fund expenditures. Again, as noted, the ad valorem taxes and the intergovernmental revenues make up the largest portions of your general fund revenue. And then for the general fund expenditures, it's public safety and cultural and recreational. Now on the last page, or the last 2 pages, I should say, The additional required communications, we briefly covered these during the letter to governance, but the LGC will no longer initiate a communication with the town. This is the communication notifying the council and the finance officer that these need to be responded to, and they give you 60 days after the presentation of the financial statement results to respond to these items. So to start, the water and sewer capital asset condition ratio, as noted, it's 0.49. They would like to see a remaining useful life of the asset greater than 0.50. The audit report was submitted 5 months plus, they would like to see the audit report submitted 5 months plus 1 day after the fiscal year end. That would be December 1st, 2024. So it is submitted 5 months plus after that day, 4/7/2025 to be specific. And then there were budget violations noted during the audit. On page 12, we also noted as a finding that management should have a system in place to reduce the need for prior period adjustments or restatements. And that also during reviewing of records, it's important to be reconciling cash, accounts receivable, accounts payable, inventory, etc. Lastly, as an additional item noted, and this is similar to what I've already mentioned, that accounts receivable, accounts payable, and other accrual accounts maintained by the town should be reconciled regularly to ensure proper reporting of their balances. Now, that concludes the presentation summary. Are there any questions?
I really appreciate this. I can actually, it's easy to follow and everything, and do you have anything to say, Teresa? We just appreciate you doing this for us.
Yes, ma'am.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
How do we fix our old system in 60 days?
You will not be able to fix the old system, but they will want to see a plan that addresses the useful life, how the town plans to address it.
So
They
we just need
don't.
a letter to them, I think, correct?
Yes, it's a letter to them basically stating, this is our plan to address these findings and these items.
And you already have that in your mind, what we're going to do. Anything else from the council?
Is there anything that you can pinpoint to explain why our other government funds was 2,500,000 minus?
Yes, sir.
Negative?
Yes, so the largest portion of that is going to be related to Fire Station 2 Capital
Right.
Project Fund.
Okay.
Those expenditures, and because that is being financed through the revolving loan, the debt, as I mentioned, that will not be shown as a revenue to offset that. We consider that a below-the-line income. So this is only above the line, and for that purpose, you're only going to see the expenditures.
Okay.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Happy to be of service. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you so kindly. I need to have a motion or that we accept our FY24 financial audit from Thompson Price, Scott Adams and Company, PA.
Move to accept this presentation.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
The next item on our agenda is our water damage payment request, and Trey's gonna handle that for us.
Mayor and council, in the early morning hours of Sunday, March 16th, we had about 5+ inches of rain in Nashville, causing the street and alley flooding in several areas around Nashville. One of those areas was the intersection of South Body Street and Railroad Street, where the storm sewer intakes and drainage culverts could not keep ahead of the rain and storm water. Christopher Sandy's Contractors Wholesale Supply LLC business and commercial building at 720 South Body Street unfortunately had 6 to 8 inches of storm water enter his building from the street during this rain event. Mr. Sandy reports he lost $9,006.90 of building materials and tools that were on the floor, and an additional $1,027.20 in damage to 5 trailers parked around his building. Mr. Sandy says this is the 4th time in the last 5 years that his building and property was flooded as a result of the Barn Street and Railroad Street storm sewer failing to adequately handle the storm water, twice before the Nashville Junctions parking lot was built and twice since it was built. Mr. Sandy is requesting the town reimburse him for the losses and correct the street drainage problem at Body Street and Railroad Street. And with that, Mr. Sandy would like to come up and make his presentation.
Boy, I wish I wasn't here tonight. I'm Christopher Sandys on Bill Wright Supply, contractor wholesale supply at 720 South Body Street. And I tell you, if anybody's experienced a flood, it's no fun. And I've got some updates. I'd emailed everybody, if I had your email, to this point on some things on the estimate, which is a little over 14,000 now. I've got some special equipment coming in to remediate some mold that's starting to accumulate. I've got fans and all that kind of. Nonetheless, you know, this has progressively gotten worse. And with the junction, when we built it, all that water is being transferred down to me. And it's got to go under that road and under that railroad track. And that 12-inch pipe just is not going to handle it. It's just common sense. And I've never had it coming in my side doors, in my store, everywhere. I've lost all kinds of things, as you've seen on the list I given you. And so our priority one is fix the problem. You know, because I can't take this anymore. Those prior instances, one time it happened about 4 years ago, the drains were just stocked up. That was before the junction, before the paving and all that. But once we've put this in with the paving, all that water, all the water from my roof, all the water from the junction's roof, all the water from the parking lot, it's got nowhere to go but to me. And 2 weeks prior to the 16th, I think the weekend of the 1st, we also had some water trying to get in. It didn't. It wasn't to the extent, but it came right up to the doors, and was saying, "Let me in." I was like, "Oh no, don't come in." So I ask you, please help me with this. I absorbed some losses from the times before. It was a couple $1,000s, but now this is quite extensive, and I need, like, priority one, the problem. Please fix it, and number two, please help me out with this. Reimbursement on this. There's a lot of things I'm not even documenting. I'm just handling because I'm a team player, you know. But I can't take for so much. And I'm worried too that if we don't, that the depreciation on my property is going to be a big factor, because I'd like to retire sometime. And I don't want to take a 50% hit on that because somebody says, "Hey, you're going to have flood insurance in another flood zone." And that won't be cool. So I'm always open. My telephone number is you have that. Please feel free to contact me anytime, and any way I can help resolve this, I'll be a part of it.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. And as a council and a mayor, we're so sorry it happened, and to your business.
It's pretty bad, and if you love to come by to see it, it's no fun. There's nothing to make cheer your day up, I can tell you that. So, and you know, I'm trying to function a business at the same time as, you know, I've seen some introduction talking about taxes and stuff like that. My property taxes went up 600%, and so I've got to earn a lot more to do this, and this hasn't helped me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Mayor and council, if I can, I did reach out to our insurance company. Historically speaking, we don't file these claims because they're normally termed as an act of God. However, they did tell us that technically we have coverage for this to file a claim under the insurance policy. That's not a guarantee that it would pay. It would be taken on a case-by-case basis, and the claimant would have to prove that there was some sort of deficiency in our stormwater system, and our stormwater systems are designed to carry a 10-year rain. So that is an option. We've never done it before, but we could submit a claim, not a guarantee that it would get covered, but we did find out that we could actually file one. Now, whether or not it's approved or not, but we've never done that before in the past.
Mayor,
Yes.
for the record, to the best of my recollection, I think the town did do some drainage work prior to him taking occupancy in that building some years ago. Enlarged the piping that goes under there. But I think we've done some repiping, putting larger pipes in a neighborhood because of flooding. And I think we need to at least explore that avenue for Mr. Sandy. But I would like to ask Mr. Sandy, has since the place has been, as you alluded to, has been flooded 4 times that we can recollect, have you done anything about elevating your stock inside so that, I mean, if I get flooded once, I ain't gonna have my stuff in the same spot next time?
Yeah, I can address that. A lot of stuff has been on pallets and stuff, because we started having this with the junction work. The one time there was a junction, we had some come in, but that was because all the storm drains was clogged up on Railroad Street, and it had nowhere to go but circle around my building and come in. But the time since the junction's been put in place and the changes to the water flow, I do have something on pallets and on shelves and racks, but some things, you know, when you get up this time, I mean, I had 10 to 12 inches in one room, and then I had stuff coming in my doors on the front of the building. You know, it's like, it's just not something you anticipate that happening.
In your trailers, do you have another place you can relocate those trailers? I have been by your building, I know 5 times in the last three or 4 days.
Yeah, and I don't know where I would put them. I'd have to go get them every time I go to use them, you know. But yeah, all the axles were covered with water, every one of them. And one of those trailers, one of them $16,000, and it got water over the axles on that, so we're having to address that immediately. Yeah, but the one thing is, don't let the water come in. Get it under that track and get it away from us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So what are your thoughts, council? Any recommendation that we turn it over to the insurance company and see what happens there and then proceed?
Well, I mean, as he just alluded, we can turn it into the insurance company, and there's no guarantee it'll be approved, but that's as far as we can go with it if we turn it in. And we can get an engineer to look at
Right, we
putting
can do
a
that.
larger pipe in there to try to channel that water someplace else. Don't know what the outcome will be, but last week was an unprecedented amount of rain to come in. And if anything's gonna flood, it would have flooded.
Right.
So, but we can do that much. I agree we need to do that much for them anyway.
Can you put that in a form of, I guess, just a motion for us to proceed with Mr. Sandy's, by going to our insurance
Well,
company and then adding about checking into the structures there?
I would move that we do allow the town, have the town to file a claim on behalf of Mr. Sandy and have our engineer to look at repiping those waterways around his building so we can see if we could get that water channeled in another direction.
Do I hear a second to that?
Well, I think the insurance company and their investigation would be the best party to determine whether the town is liable or not. So
Right.
I think that's fine to go that route. And then, yes, I agree, we have had situations in the past where we've been set up by failures of one thing or another, and it's caused problems in residential neighborhoods. So if there is an issue now with water, regardless of whose fault it is, if we can fix it, I think we should investigate that.
Well, can we adjust it a little bit, because you said his building, we're really fixing the problem of the street.
Well, if we fix that street, it was,
Yeah,
it was,
yeah, I mean, I just kind of
help this
reword it a
building
little
and
bit.
the entire street.
But if we reword it a little bit, I would second it.
So, we have, a vote to go in and submit that and have the structure inspected. Do I hear a second?
I second it.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Sandy, we're gonna move forward. The next item on our agenda is our Stony Creek outfall replacement and rehabilitation project. Trey?
Yes, ma'am. Mike Tolson with Matt Gain Associates has completed a feasibility study of the options for rehabilitating the town's Stony Creek sewer outfall line, which transports all of the town's wastewater to the city of Rocky Mount for treatment. The sewer line is 40 years old and in need of rehabilitation. The report is attached, and Mr. Tolson will present and discuss the options with the council at the meeting tonight. The town has been invited by the North Carolina Department of Public Safety's Division of Emergency Management and Hazard Mitigation to submit the outfall line's rehabilitation for funding to FEMA's Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, specifically the BRIC program. The application is due October 31st, 2025, and the project's design must be completed by a licensed engineer prior to application. The council will need to select which rehabilitation option to go with and authorize the town manager to proceed with the professional qualification selection process for selecting a design engineering firm for the project to meet the requirements of the Mini Brooks Act. And with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Mike Tolson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here to talk about sewer again, like I always do. We have completed, well, what you have in front of you, I'm assuming Randy got that to all of you.
Yes.
Take a look at. Hope you've had a chance to review it. It's a brief, what we call merger regionalization feasibility study. It's a feasibility study of options to do something with the Stony Creek outfall that, as you probably are aware, a lot of people don't even know it's there because it's down near Stony Creek and in the woods and kind of remote, but it conveys all of your wastewater to the city of Rocky Mount for treatment over to a spot over near the community college on Old Carriage Road. But bottom line is we looked at different options to see what would be a way to alleviate the current situation, which we feel like the outfall is taking on quite a bit of inflow and infiltration. When the creek does get up and floods that area, there's a lot of beaver activity along the reach of the easement that keeps a lot of it flooded year-round. So that's an issue, getting down the easement just to go maintain it. A lot of what we would consider to be called deferred maintenance, which is, because beavers keep a lot of it flooded, it's kind of hard to get down it. We had to use some fairly well-equipped extreme access equipment to be able to get just down it, much less trying to get equipment down it to try and actually fix anything that's going on. So we tried to take a look at all of the different options using the existing easement for either relining the existing line, or that was option number one, which you have in the report. Option number two was to sort of abandon the easement and put a large pump station in that would handle all of the town's sewer, a triplex station we would call it, had 3 pumps, be a very big structure, very costly structure, but a force main that would then deliver to the existing gravity line that ties in over there where the town currently delivers the sewer at, near what we call the Nashville Weir on Old Carriage. And then the last option is to replace the entire outfall from either Red Oak Road all the way down to the weir, or perhaps even further back with a larger 24-inch line that gives you more capacity, gives you a little bit better access to it, and builds a not an all-weather access road, but a more substantial road that has positive drainage and makes it so that it's easier to maintain and get down, and going forward allows it to be much more accessible and a little user-friendly, if you will. It gives you the ability, an extra capacity for growth in town, which you guys are experiencing, and lots of subdivisions coming online and people building houses. And your sewer flow is only going to get more and more important to make sure you've conserved how much you're pumping and flowing to City of Rocky Mount, which you pay for every gallon you send to them. So this is an option to try and get, or a study to try and make the most out of what you have, but actually reuse the existing easement if we can, and just see what the best and most feasible solution for the town would be. The cost estimates are in here, and there's lots of different things. One of the things that Randy wanted us to make sure we had estimated was, do we go back with an 18-inch pipe, which is what it is currently, or do we go with a 24-inch pipe or even a 30? So we've run what the capacities are and kind of shown you some of that. When you go to a 24-inch pipe, you almost double the capacity of what it is. So where you are today, you would be doubling, you could theoretically double the size of residents in town and be able to have more flow going to the city. If you went to a 30, you would almost triple that. So it's you get a little bit of a double increase every time you go up to a larger size pipe. That's not something that has to be determined today as far as which size pipe it would be. But we would say that a 24-inch pipe gives you 50 years of growth potential and capacity, and gets you a new line installed. Relining an 18-inch line on there, it's a 40-year-old line. If we were to reline the line, it would be basically putting a new liner inside of a 40-year-old pipe. That may or may not necessarily be long-term. You'll still have some issues. Now, that would still allow you some grading. There's lots of different reasons to try and do that, because it's a little less invasive than having to get large equipment to dig and put a 24-inch pipe in the ground with new manholes, but you're going to go 75% of the way there just trying to get down the easement to reline it. You may as well go the extra 25% and have a brand new material, from fresh start basically on the new line. is one reason why we like option 3 the most, which gets you a new line, new material, new manholes, new vents, watertight assembly that when it does flood, it will not take on as much water as they currently are. The pump station option number 2 is one I like, just simply because I like big pump stations and force mains and everything else, and it gives you the option of not having to go down that long maintenance easement, and it would essentially turn that easement into a greenway, if you would, for potential future, even though the beavers will take it over very quickly, I imagine, if you don't drive down it. But the force main option and the pump station gives you the long-term maintenance of a pump station, long-term maintenance of a force main. It gives you another point of measurement with meters and things that you could tell how much flow you are actually sending to the city, so you could compare it to what the monthly bill is, and you'd have a checkpoint kind of double balance of how much we're sending versus how much they say we're sending, and going from there, which has always kind of been sort of every month you need that accounting, you need that accountability sort of thing. But it also comes at the cost of having to maintain a very large pump station that is not, not necessarily something you want to have to continue to maintain. The power, the power consumption, just the general energy that it would take to maintain it. And you'd still have a force main with air release valves and everything else that you would have to look after and make sure weren't clogged and everything else. A nice gravity system is always the preferred method because it doesn't use electricity. As long as you can get down it and inspect it and take a look at it, you've got a very good system in place that will work as long as gravity works. And if gravity stops working, we all are going to have other problems. So, but essentially, we know that we can get there from Red Oak to the weir, because if an 18-inch pipe will go, then a 24-inch pipe will go, because you can lay them even flatter and you can pick up grade and everything like that. So it's a easily designed but difficult project to design, just simply because of access and everything else, and trying to make sure you've got a all-terrain trail that you really can get down without having to bulldoze it every 6 months, or blast beaver dams, or have somebody come out and trap wildlife, which is a part of it. You'll have to have somebody come and look at it, but hopefully we can get them cleared, and then with constant maintenance and diligence on the maintenance of that side of things, it will be a line that you can get down all year round, which is, not easy to do right now or at any part of the year for parts of it, because there are portions of it now that are under 3 feet of water that have manholes just sticking out of what look like ponds, simply because the beavers have been busy. So, but with that said, the cost of all of them, they all range from about 8 to 9 to 12 million, in those ranges. Now, these are estimates. These are not, real. They're based on the best numbers we could put together, based on recent bids, based on recent activity. There's a lot of unknowns in the supply chain world for construction supplies right now, just simply because of everything that's kind of going on in the economy right now. But also, that will move and flow a little bit different as we get to a bid time. The estimation is that the BRIC program that he mentioned that we've been kind of approved to provide a full application for and hopefully get the funding for, is up to a $10 million grant, which is wonderful. Hopefully that will be, we'll be well within that with this 24-inch option, and we'll look for ways to be inside of that, or your design engineer that you choose as going forward from this will look for ways to be down there, and then bidding and everything else. You have a much better chance at that BRIC funding if you have it designed and ready to go come October. And so that's what the push is for moving forward with you guys selecting a project engineer to do that. And we don't have a dog. We were doing the feasibility study regardless of what the BRIC or anything else, but this helps to kind of justify the BRIC and show them that you've gone through the steps, and then moves you to the next stage of the process. So that's what we hope to be able to do it for you, but at the same time, it's, you guys have to go through an RFQ process and everything like that to select someone. So with that said, our recommendation is to go with a 24-inch or a new line with 6 foot, 5 foot, 6 foot diameter manholes, replacing the existing line in the existing easement, just laid parallel right beside it, and to cut off and abandon the old line in ways that you can't be sending just floodwater to Rocky Mount anymore in case it's what's coming into the system. And to continue also your efforts that Randy and everybody have worked very hard on working on infiltration in the collection system in town, which has made some pretty good inroads, I believe, because I think you guys are seeing the difference in some of your monthly bills of what you are sending, so it's helping. But it's a constant battle and struggle. When we originally looked at this, we went for a rehab on Stony Creek about 4 years ago for funding, and the line wasn't quite old enough yet. You have to be 40 years old or more in order to be able to apply for the funding to replace something that size. So some of these are, it's the right time. It's now we got the study done. We can move forward with all of that and kind of ask for the next step, which is to get those aging assets, new again. So, and that kind of, I guess, meets some of the, I didn't know the asset ratio that he was talking about in the audit. That kind of will fix a lot of some of that ratio for sure, because it will replace an aging line with a brand new facility. So, does anybody have any questions? I'm sorry.
My question is, so you were referring to option 3?
Yes, sir.
With the 24-inch gravity feed outfall?
Yes, sir.
Replacing new manholes? Haven't we just finished for the last 2 years slip lining 88 manholes?
That's in town.
So
It's not on the outfall?
No, sir. That's in town. You've got rehab efforts going in that is relining existing manholes in town, which really that's one of your only options other than replacing them in place. And what that does is renew them to almost brand new condition when they're finished with them, and it seals up leaks inside of it, which what we found when we went through and did your condition assessment for the sewer systems a few years back was that there were so many leaking manholes that we thought a lot of the infiltration that you were seeing in your system was coming from your manholes and possibly some of the mains in the collection system in town. This is if you think of it in the terms of you've got the wiring in your house and you've got the power line from the street to your house, and then you've got the transmission lines that carry from Duke Power to you or whoever you get your power from. This is the transmission line of the sewer system. It's taking it to Rocky Mount and getting rid of it for you. And they've been working on not the plumbing in your house, but the plumbing from your house to the wiring from your house to the road kind of thing.
So enlighten me on what we've been doing up and down 64 Highway for the last 12 months in the outfall line. There's been some kind of construction going on for the last year.
On 64 Highway?
On 64, where the outfall line goes out. What have we been doing there?
I'm not sure. I'm not aware of that.
Y'all haven't seen it?
Nothing I know of.
The construction
I don't
stuff going
think it's
on out
us,
there?
though. I don't think that's us.
Now, there's been some water line that has been replaced
Yeah.
out there, but that's been along Eastern. I'm just not aware of where you're talking about there, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just can't speak to it.
I just didn't want us abandon manholes that we'd already just put money in.
Now this
But you said it's in
system,
town.
this plan will pick up where that line along 64 that you're talking about runs to, and it's to fix the portion from there where that line ends, because you've got a 30-inch to there that was put in years ago,
Right.
all the way out to, and so there's some justification for running a 30-inch, except for the fact that you're not running it tying into a 30-inch at Rocky Mount. It's a smaller line than that. So there's some wisdom to that, and it's just a cost difference in pipe size and things like that.
Do you have a question?
I had a couple of questions. One of the things I liked most about the option 2 was that we could meter it. Is there any sort of like gravity flow meter
that's the
where we
question.
That's what I was.
can do that, so we have that knowledge?
So what you have now is a gravity meter, if you will, at the weir that is not controlled by you. It's the meter.
Right.
I mean, you calibrate it and it's read, and you guys read it, and the city reads it and everything else. You could do something similar to that somewhere along the outfall, whether it's at Red Oak Road or some accessible point.
Pretty much where our responsibility stops.
That's right, and that's essentially is at that weir
Okay.
in on that road near the community college. There isn't in a force main and with a pump station, you have something called a mag meter. That is, it has to have a full pipe to flow and read, and it's reading the velocity of the fluid inside of it. What is a gravity read is a partial flume, which is what the weir is at. It's got an ultrasonic eye that reads the depth inside of that. You could do something similar to that, but it is subject to the whims and fancies that the one down at the weir now is. If it gets high, if it has any kind of backflow, if it gets hung up, they're excellent when they work, but they can very quickly not work, and that's part of the issue with them.
But I think one of our concerns is what you're talking about with backflow, that there is some sort of stoppage after the point where we are responsible that's now causing it to come back and we're being charged for that.
And what I would say is we can certainly look at that somewhere further up in the system,
Right.
like say, for instance, at Red Oak Road where it crosses, simply because there's not any users tied on except for
Right.
in one small subdivision from that point all the way down to the weir. There's maybe 2 or 3 users in that one subdivision right at the weir. So we could possibly install something like that. Would not be that difficult to do.
That'd be
It's
great.
just one more thing but we can certainly include it. We just
Okay.
don't have it in these estimates, but we can revise that.
Okay, I think that would be really
Yeah.
helpful.
There's lots of options for that sort of
Okay.
stuff, but that's the best one for ease of use.
Another concern, I think you addressed, basically, we think a lot of what our problem is that stormwater is coming into it. But you're saying if we put in brand-new everything for that extent, and we're continuing to slip line here and do our job here, that really that should take care of it.
Well, yes, chasing I&I is a constant struggle. When you have 50-year-old lines, 30-year-old lines, 100-year-old lines, brick manholes and things like that, you're going to have leaks. That's the way that, they're going to, you might fix a line today and the one downstream next week starts to leak, and you don't see it for 2 years until you get back in that line or do anything. That said, you just have to remain vigilant on, hey, let's go inspect this, let's go video this, let's go do this. And what you guys have been doing in lining the manholes has been, we opened every manhole in town a couple of years back and over the course of time. Over half of them were leaking or cracked or scored a poor condition that needed some attention, something fixed, something leaking. Several of them were leaking to the effect of, a couple of gallons a minute, but one manhole leaking, 2 gallons a minute is 3,000 gallons of additional water a day that you're treating that is just coming in from groundwater. Multiply that by 500 manholes and you start getting a very substantial amount. And that's just in the collection system in town, not on this outfall that nobody's riding down and inspecting and looking at, that even when you do get out there, you can see cracks, and we have trees growing literally right beside of and on top of some of these manholes. So there's a lot of room for water to get in. So with, a maintainable, accessible, and operable system like this, you make sure that they can put some crossings in so that they can get a four-wheeler or something just at least down it once a month, and so go and check and get the down trees up, because there's going to be limbs down, there's going to be things like that need to be done. But you do something along those lines and it should combat it as much as possible and improve it instead of make it worse. And I can tell you that if you've got that big of a line out there, you still got to make sure that it's good, and we got to start that somewhere. But the idea was hey, we'll start in town where we know we can use it, and we know we can fix this until Stony Creek is old enough to get funding for this without having to bear the whole brunt on the town budget. And so now we're ready to, try and use grant funds and apply for different, sources to try and get the funds to do what we're looking at doing, and hopefully get you cleaned up from that standpoint as well. And in the meantime, Public Works has been trying to get down it and get across it, but there are just some that they can't. The beavers work all the time. They don't stop.
Beavers and accessibility, does this quote address any of the accessibility as far as putting something where if it's in water, we can get in, or essentially, is it more cost effective to have to deal with the maintenance of a lift station or someone, full-time removing beaver dams?
I think once you go and establish it, remove the initial beaver dams and stay, like I said, vigilant on getting, you hire a trapper to come out and he'll check them, he'll, make sure they're not building new dams here and there. But that's a challenging easement. It really is. 500 or 600 feet of water on top of it just means that you can't get to 2 or 3 manholes. The other 40 or 50 that you can get to are no problem, but you have to get through that 500 feet to get to either end of it. But with some good crossings, some good, raised beds, and I say raised beds, raised drainage crossings that allow water through, but with some just weekly inspections, monthly inspections to go out there and take a look at it, make sure that there's no beaver activity going on, and just kind of riding down it and making sure that the easement is clear. We'll do 9 times, they haven't been able to do that for 30 years because of just, they went out there and they put these large stacks on those manholes and made it so that you couldn't go in them to look at them. So then you didn't have to go out there to look at them because you couldn't get in them anyway when you did that. We're going to lower them back down, put flood vents on them, put watertight seals on top of them so that when you ride out there and take a look at them, they are accessible. You can pop them and look at them, or you can at least see that there's nothing on top of them and go from there. So will it solve it? It'll give them the best leg up to solve it. And I would rather have that than one of the pumps in these pump stations is going to be, just one, and I'm talking about putting 3, is going to be $90,000, just that one little pump. And that's not even talking about the motor, the piping, and everything else that's got to go with it, the control valves. So keeping one of those on the shelf just in case you need it, and if it goes out, that's one reason we don't like it from the standpoint of if you have a pump station and it catastrophic failure and it goes down, lightning strikes and the whole thing burns up, you've got no way to get sewer to Rocky Mount, and gravity won't fail you.
Okay.
So, and that's the reason that it wins out in the comparison.
My last question is just size. So when we talked about the 24-inch pipe, it's for moderate future growth. But if we wanted to be more aggressive and go with the 30, you're saying that might not even work because it's a 30 going into something smaller?
So on the other side of that weir, on Rocky Mount side, I think it's a 24 that you're going into. We'll have to permit the line and see if the state will allow us to do it. Shouldn't be a problem, but we may have to do something with the weir and tying in and everything like that. All problems we can work out, but it's just something to consider. They typically don't like you to put a 12-inch line going into an 8-inch line because it could overwhelm the capacity.
Yeah.
Not so big a deal on an outfall line, but it's still something to consider. But what you have to do is to put a maintenance program in place that says we inspect this line once a month, we ride down it, we take a look, we've made sure there's no evidence of surcharge. Those sorts of things that can kind of give you the tools when they come out every year and say, okay, you put a 30-inch in above a 24, here it is, but it won't be able to go downstream any faster if there's nothing but a 24 there. The cost between an 18, a 24, and a 30 at this point, if you're going through a $10 million project, is maybe $200,000 more to go up to the next size for the whole line. So it's worth it for a long-term line. The 30 that you laid from the, what is the pump station over here behind the admin building that they took out and put that 30-inch outfall in, was put in because you needed it for the grade, for the gravity side of it to get that far and tie in where you tie it in at. And the 30's fine, and at the time 30-inch was, relatively affordable. With costs being what they are, it'll be something we can bid, we can take a look at it, and we can, at the time of the bid and preparation and what you have available for the budget, you can always pull back or scale back because the design won't really change.
Okay.
So.
Any other
I
questions?
got a couple of questions. So you answered a bunch of them, but so following up on that 30 to 24 in Rocky Mount, we're going to spend a lot of money to do all that. So it makes sense to make it bigger. Wouldn't that be Rocky Mount's issue later on to make their side bigger?
It would be their responsibility to do.
Right.
And that would be, I won't say on them, it'll be, I would hope, a coordinated effort between the town and the city discussing how much you're sending to them. You get monthly bills on how much you're flowing. With a 30-inch line, we're talking 100-year, capacity line for the town. The town would be 4 times as large, and I would hope that at this time going forward, that the city would see that, Nashville's growing and they're sending us a lot of sewer. We need to upgrade this because we're having trouble backing up with this. My hope is that we recover quite a bit of capacity from solving a lot of the I&I issues that are coming through the pipes now. on the outfall and in the collection system so that your sewer bill goes down and you have that capacity for years and you never need it until we're all dust. But at the same time, you know, if a 24 and a 30 is $10 more a foot for a 30 and they'll allow you to put it in, there's no reason to think you're going to be sending that full capacity at that point.
Well, my thought is, 100,000 person town, you make it 400,000, but we have a 5,000 town, that's only 20,000. So I mean, 3 to 4 times is realistic in the next 30 years.
It is, but it's also, you know, you have planners and people that will say, we need to upgrade our capacity. I'm just, you know, that's what, a line like that is, you know, a 30 will not be, you'll never hit that capacity with 40,000, you know, 50,000, well, 50,000 homes may hit it, but
Right.
be tough.
All right, that confused me, because I thought you were saying that, like, we have 5,500, so essentially we could double the population with the 24-inch.
You could double the flow that the
Okay.
18 can currently carry,
Okay.
regardless. And, you know, we've got online, on page, let's see, page 2 of the thing, you see in there where it says the 18-inch pipe will carry 788,452 gallons a day.
Our page 2 is different than your page 2.
Yeah.
Bottom of
definitely
page 2, or I might not have.
52.
Thank you.
52?
Oh, 50, oh.
Okay.
Yeah, we got
Or
different
got long.
numbers.
Okay.
Okay, now I see it.
So down at the bottom it says 18-inch pipe, capacity 788,452. Now that's flowing full. You typically design them for flowing half full. And then you go through capacity on a 24, capacity is 1,389,000. And then on a 30 is 2,184,000. That's, you guys send 30 million gallons a month roughly to the city from what I remember. Now, I haven't looked at those numbers off the top of my head, but that is full of a lot of I&I as well. So you're not needing to send, you know, 400 million gallons yet, and that's what the line would be. But we would look at all of that and make a recommendation. But like I said, 18, 24, 30-inch, we could take bids on all 3 and have them as alternates and decide what the line item price would be.
And then my other question is, I believe this is option 3, the green line, which is on our page 59, which I'm not sure what page number it is. It's exhibit map B.
Mm-hmm.
Is that plan 3, the green line?
I don't have it in color. I apologize. I'm
Okay.
looking at a
It's the
gray
one that
line.
goes along the interstate
That is the force main that we would put in.
from the pump station.
From the pump station.
Do we have to get-
That's option 2, option B.
Okay. Do we have to get rights for that?
So we started the conversations with DOT about what they would allow and wouldn't allow for controlled access. Luckily, you've got a very good wide right-of-way right there on 64. What we were able to determine with them was they were willing to talk about it. We'd have to go meet with Raleigh. We didn't take that next step to get formal with them on those negotiations, simply because they may allow you to put it 10 feet inside the fence. We're talking about a 12-inch pipe that's going to be buried 3 feet deep just inside the right-of-way fence or just on the other side. We feel like we've got a favorable couple of property owners that we can get easements from behind the fence, because that helps them quite a bit as well. It technically sewers their property, even though it's a force main. But with that said, we didn't leg out all of that, all of those negotiations.
That's not the one you're recommending?
That's not the one
Yeah.
we recommended, no, sir.
Page 60 is what he's recommending.
We're going right back down the old easement, right
Right.
next to the old line, with a new constructed line, which is still better than having a relined 40-year-old line, in my opinion.
Okay. My other question was the manholes, but you answered that one about sealing them and lowering them.
I like
Yeah.
the 24-inch.
Any questions? Any other questions? Thank you so much, and if not, do I hear a motion to receive the Stony Creek Sewer Outfall Rehabilitation Feasibility Study and select which rehabilitation option to pursue for its rehabilitation, and authorize the town manager to proceed with a professional qualification selection process for seeking a design and engineer firm for this project? And so he has recommended that we go with 3. Do we all agree? Do you agree?
Option 3, which is the 24.
Okay, so,
I agree.
With the addition of the,
Meter, if we
Meter.
can get in there.
so do I hear a motion that we receive this and proceed? Is there a second?
second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is the state funding for wastewater projects. Trey?
The town is pursuing federal funding for the Stony Creek Outfall Replacement and Rehabilitation Project with the FEMA's BRIC program and the Regency Lift Station Elimination Project with the Community Project Fund grant from Congressman Don Davis. Because federal funding for those projects is not guaranteed and these projects are eligible for funding from the state's Clean Water State Revolving Fund, the town engineer recommends the town pursue state funding for these projects too. Attached are resolutions initiating funding applications for state funding of the projects.
Do you have any questions about this funding, council? If not, I need a motion for us to approve both Resolution 2025-10 and Resolution 2025-11 and Resolution 2025-12 arranging for funding and financing for the Stony Creek Outfall Replacement and Rehabilitation Project, the Regency Lift Station Elimination and Collection System Improvement Project, and the Water Waste Collection System Rehabilitation Project.
I make the motion that we approve those 3.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
The next item on our agenda is the Essex Road Sewer Extension Improvement Project, I believe.
That's fine.
Okay.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Town Council. Also, good evening to the great citizens of Nashville I didn't get a chance to speak with. Town Council, if you recall, back on April 18, 2023, the town did receive a letter of intent to fund from the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, NCDEQ Division of Water Infrastructure for the Essex Road Sewer Extension Improvement Project at a $500,000 principal forgiveness loan, $95,830 repayable loan from the state revolving fund. This week, the town received the funding contract for NCDEQ Division of Water Infrastructure for the $500,000 principal forgiveness loan and the $95,830 repayable loan. The funding contract for both is attached along with Resolution 2025-09, accepting the funding and agreeing the funding conditions. Mayor, after deliberation with the council, we would ask the council to approve Resolution 2025-09.
Yeah, this has been a long time coming.
It has.
Any questions for Sean? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the Resolution 2025-09 accepting the $500,000 principal forgiveness loan and the $95,830 repayable loan from the state revolving fund for the Essex Road Sewer Extension Improvement Project?
So moved.
There's second.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
The next item on our agenda is Sean again, the Nash Arts and Senior Center.
Mayor, tonight on the docket, we have a rezoning application to be approved and a rezoning public hearing to be heard tonight. But before we do that, Mayor, if you don't mind, for your permission, can I veer to the left for an update for a code case?
Certainly.
As you know, last time, council, when we were meeting during the daytime meeting, you guys did ask me to come back and report to you of the update of the Medlin Enterprise Building on Barnes Street.
Right.
Mr. Medlin has did an outstanding job getting that building to make it look immaculate for the town. He removed all the nuisance cars, all the nuisance junk in the backyard. He has been extraordinary to work with the town, and we appreciate his service of getting it cleaned up, and Ms. Jones appreciates her hard work on what she had to do to get him to this point. It's been a 50-50 mutual partnership of getting this done, but the town is excellent and excited for what Mr. Medlin has done with that building, bringing it up to the town standards of code.
And it looks totally different and neat, and it's not an eyesore anymore, so that's great.
And he also did put up the roll-up bay door that he asked for.
That's the best improvement he did. He did a great job doing that.
Yes, sir. Mayor, if you don't mind, we'll proceed on what we have on the agenda tonight on our action item. It is the rezone of the Nash Arts Senior Center from O and R R10 to B2. This evening, we do have Mr. Adam Tyson, Nash County Planning Director, and the Assistant County Manager, Mr. Jonathan Boone, here to represent Nash County. If you turn over to page number 89 in your packet, you can see that the application was submitted back for the rezone on this on March 6, 2025. This property did go before the planning board on their March 25th, 25 meeting. After that night, a determination was made by board member Ross Strickland and Walter Harper. Both made a motion and second to approve the rezoning from O&I R10 to B2. If you look in your packet on page number 98 is where we will start the agenda report. As we always say, as Mayor, we know you have done your due diligence, you and the council, reading the entire packet, so there's no need for us to go word for everything. So we'll just kind of hit the highlights of this and then get to the nuts and bolts of why we're here tonight for the public hearing, also to hear from Mr. Tyson. It is rezoning case 2005-03, and the applicant is Nash County. They're asking to request to rezone the property 100 East Washington Street and 103 North Austin Street within the town of Nashville from O&I R10 to B2. The property does have road frontage off East Washington Street and East M Street. Parcel number 0044400. If you look north of the property, it is residential. To the south is R10 residential. To the east is R10 residential. And of course, to the west is B2, the municipal county government building. Also west of this building is downtown municipal services businesses. Our existing zoning is O&I. I think you guys are pretty much aware of what O&I is. Our existing zoning is R10. I believe you are very adamant and compatible with knowing what R10 is, so there's no reason to go down those roads again. But what they are asking for is B2, and I think you guys are pretty much adamant on knowing what B2 is. It's our central business zoning district that is downtown. And if you look on page number 99, when we talk about our 2021 Nashville comp plan, it has their property slated for town center, which coordinates and goes with B2 zoning. Preferred uses in your town center according to our comp plan are retail, professional services, restaurants, offices, mixed-use residential, institutional uses, and government facilities. If we turn over to page number 100, you can see right there that that is the property that has to be rezoned from O&I R10. The arrow designate that. And if we go to 101, we'll get to the project history of this property. Of course, the future land use map above that shows it as town center. Adam Tyson with Nash County submitted the application on Thursday, March the 6th, 2025. The property is being served by the town water and sewer by the town of Nashville. The public hearing notices were mailed out to approximately 67 property owners within a 500-foot radius on February the 5th, 2025. The public hearing notice was posted on the town's website on March the 11th. The rezoning sign was posted on the property on March the 7th, and photos were taken. Please see below this attachment. The legal notice was advertised in the Nashville Graphic on March the 13th, 20th, and 27th, and April 3rd for the 2025 Planning Board meeting and Town Council meeting for the public hearing. The front door of Town Hall was posted on March 11th. The front door of the Town of Nashville Harold E. Cooley Library and Parks and Recreation Center was also posted on the same day. The subject property is not located within the floodplain. The subject property is located in the Stony Creek, Upper Stony Creek subwatershed. The subject property is not located within the NCDQ water supply watershed. The Town of Nashville future land use map has the existing property as town center. And the subject property was heard by the Town Technical Review Committee, TRC, on Monday, March 2025. The recommendation that day by the TRC was to recommend approval for the rezoning of what the applicant was asking. The subject property was also heard by the Town Nashville Planning Board on Tuesday, March 2025, and we already said that recommendation was given by Board Member Ross Strickland with a motion, seconded by Board Member Walter Harper, for the approval of the rezoning to send to the Town Council. If you turn over to page 102, reasonableness and spot zoning. The general rezoning request of RZ 2025-03 may be considerable, reasonable, and in the public interest because, number one, this request is not spot zoning because the subject property will be rezoned from office, institutional, and residential 10 to B2, where these uses are allowed in central business locations. Number two, our future land use map had this property slated as the town center for future land use zoning. Number three, the Town Nashville B2 zoning district is the most intensive for these types of uses. And number four, the subject property is in harmony with this use request since the property does have road frontage off East Washington and East M Street. No need to go over the TRC recommendations. We went over that. No need to go over our planning board recommendations. We went over that. So, Mayor, I will now yield back to you and yield to open up the public hearing. And for Mr. Tyson and Mr. Boone, whichever one is here to speak this evening, both are available. And then we can yield to the general public and masses to speak during the public hearing. And we can come back for recommendations, deliberation, and voting. Thank you, Mayor.
Do I hear a motion that we go into public hearing on rezoning 100 East Washington Street and 103 North Austin Street to B-2 Central Business District?
May I move that we go into public hearing?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. You want to speak first?
Good evening, council. My name's Adam Tyson. I'm the Nash County Planning Director, and I am representing the property owner, which of course is Nash County, for this general rezoning request. I'll be brief. I just want to restate some of the main points that Sean has already made in his presentation. The primary purpose for this rezoning, of course, is the proposed expansion of the existing Nash County Senior Center. That will involve the expansion of the center onto portions of this subject property that are currently zoned R10 residential. Sean has helped us classify the senior center per the town's table of permitted uses as an indoor recreation facility. And since an indoor recreation facility is not a permitted land use in the current R10 zoning district, but it would be a permitted land use in the proposed B2 Central Business District, that is the driving force behind this request. And so as we understand it, this rezoning is necessary to accommodate the proposed expansion of the senior center. The B2 zoning district that we're requesting would provide a consistent zoning classification for not just the area that includes the Arts Center and the Senior Center, but would also be consistent with our neighboring county administration building property, which is located to the west directly across North Austin Street. And that is, of course, part of an even larger B2 zone that dominates the town's downtown area. Hopefully following an approval of this rezoning request, the county intends to reconfigure the property line that currently separates the two properties such that the Art Center is on its own parcel in the front, and the Senior Center, as well as the proposed expansion area and related parking, would be on its separate parcel in the rear. We do believe that this request is consistent with the town's comprehensive plan. As Sean stated, this subject property is designated by the plan as Town Center Area, and the text of the plan recommends institutional land uses like the Art Center and government facilities like the Senior Center as part of the preferred land uses for inclusion in that Town Center area. And of course, we do not believe that this is spot zoning, because it would be a modest expansion of the very large already existing B2 downtown business district that includes our administration building and a majority of downtown. 2 weeks ago at the planning board meeting, one of the board members alerted us to the possibility that there could be a small number of graves on the east side of the property, east of the existing senior center, within kind of a concrete border there. We have alerted the architectural design firm that is assisting us with designing the expansion of the senior center. We intend to continue assessing that. We don't necessarily feel that that possibility is a factor in tonight's general rezoning. However, because it is a general rezoning, we will need to petition the town for a specific zoning permit later on prior to construction with a specific site plan, and we plan to address the cemetery potential issue there should it be necessary with the town staff as part of that zoning approval. And so with that, I would just like to humbly request that the council consider approval of this general rezoning request. And of course, I'm available to answer any questions that the board has now or during the rest of the public hearing.
Any questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mayor, I don't think we had nobody sign up for this rezone request, but as always, we can poll the general audience for
Is
consensus.
there anyone in the audience that would like to address this?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
As I am.
Can you come up here, please, and state your name and address?
My name is Tabitha Richardson. I am with Richardson Funeral Home that has been here for many years. Because we are planning on coming back to Nashville pretty soon in the near future, I just want to make sure we are at 204 North Austin Street, And I just want to make sure that this rezoning will not affect our ability to come back and rebuild our funeral home.
Should not.
Not in any way.
Should not.
Mayor, it shouldn't have no effects on if when you're ready to come back and rebuild your funeral home, because that rezoning would not do no difference to no detriment to the home.
Okay,
to-
that is what we're here. We just wanted to make sure that was clear.
And has that possible grave site been located? Do we know exactly where it is?
From what I take, I do not believe it has, but as Mr. Tyson stated, once they turn in a site plan, the county will do their due diligence to make sure that anything that is there to be marked and checked.
We'll make sure it's not disturbed.
Yes, sir, we definitely will do that, Councilman Taylor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? If not, do I hear a motion to come out of closed session? I mean, the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
At this time, do I hear a motion to approve the ordinance 2025-15, rezoning the properties from R10 to B2 to a central business
So
district?
made.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
It's approved, thanks. The next item on our agenda is Library Advisory Board candidate Brian.
Madam Mayor, Council. We have been blessed, I would say, to have two excellent candidates come forward for our open library advisory board seats. They are Miss Natalie Brooks and Miss Shirley Fisher. Both Miss Brooks and Miss Fisher are retired educators. They are local residents and they are avid readers. They will bring, I think, a wealth of knowledge and wisdom and a keen insights, I'm sure, to the advisory board leadership in its role in supporting the library and its continued service to the public. And so I would be very pleased if you would welcome them to that board.
And I think you're so right. I love having good readers and retired teachers on there, so you are very blessed to have those two. So do I hear a motion to approve Natalie Brooks and Shirley Fisher appointment to the Library Advisory Board?
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm glad to have both of
Thank
them.
you very
Thank you
very
for
much.
serving. We
Yes.
appreciate it so very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
He wants to,
And thank you for all of this information. This was very helpful.
It is. A refreshing change.
Yes.
the next item on our agenda is land sale.
Mayor, before we go to land sale, may I make a comment?
Sure.
Before they slip out of the meeting tonight, Ms. Richardson made I don't know if she slipped it out or what, but she made a statement that Richardson Funeral Home did have plans to come back to Nashville. That is a great.
Good news.
That is real good news to hear. And we look forward to having you come back into Nashville, because I get tired of people asking me when y'all coming back. But now I got. Hope,
Good.
well, that's good.
Try to get something started by the end of this year.
Well, that's good. Thank you so much.
Good.
Good.
Okay, now, I'm sorry.
Okay, the land sale.
The town has received a written offer to purchase town-owned real estate adjacent to 696 Cook Road. Carol Stewart, who resides at 696 Cook Road, is offering to purchase a 0.174 acre strip of land that contains portions of his driveway, which encroaches onto the town's Cook Road land. He is offering $2,500 for the land, plus the fee of $1,950 for surveying, and also $500 in legal fees. If the council is inclined to accept this offer, the attached resolution is required to authorize town staff to move forward in advertising the offer to purchase the land for a period of 10 days per GS 160A 269. And I'm not going to read that general statute, but it's there.
So what you need to do, council, is vote to approve the sale of the acreage, the 1.174 acres of land to Carol Stewart at 696 Cook Road to cure driveway encroachment onto the town Cook Road property. Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve.
There's a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It's approved. The next item on our agenda is the annexation petition and sufficiency of the petition. Lou?
On March 6, William Wynn with Nashville Development Company, owner of the 7.514 acres of land located at 1860 U.S. Highway 64 alternate, submitted the attached non-contiguous annexation petition for the property. Per NCGS 160A 58 annexation process, the next step is for the town council to direct the town clerk to investigate the sufficiency of this annexation and report back to the council. Resolutions 2025-07 directs the town clerk to investigate the sufficiency of the annexation petition.
And we also have to vote to
Right, so
schedule a
if y'all
public
will
hearing.
go on and vote on that, because I have anticipated your desire to proceed with this
Okay,
annexation,
good.
and I went on and have gone through the steps of.
So when we vote, we're going to vote for both of those.
Well, vote for, I would go kind of like, it's kind of in my
One or
head,
the
I
other.
think, vote first,
Okay.
and then we'll go to the next step.
Do I hear a motion to approve Resolution 2025-07 directing the town clerk to investigate the sufficiency, the petition to annex 1860 U.S. Highway 64A? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, so I anticipated, and so I'm going to present to you the certificate of sufficiency.
Well, you already done.
I did, y'all.
She's that fast.
She's quick.
Y'all zoned it, y'all had already.
Best clerk around.
On this,
Right.
so I knew.
You knew.
I think.
So in that case, do I hear a motion that we set a public hearing for the annexation of this property for May 6, 2025?
May 6th, I would move to approve that.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is the annexation application and sufficiency of petition AP 2025-01-3 MR. And town clerk, ready?
I am. So, let me find the start of that one. Sorry. Okay, on February 7th, Meredith Sawyer with M3MR Limited Partnership, the owner of Lot 2, 4.764 acres of land next to Fire Station Number 2 along Red Oak Level Road, submitted the attached contiguous annexation petition for the property. Per NCGS 160A 58 annexation process, the next step is for the town to direct the town clerk to investigate the sufficiency of this annexation and report back to the council. Resolution 2025-04 directs the town clerk to investigate the sufficiency of the annexation petition. And I kind of did like I did before, because along that road, y'all have already annexed in where the Dollar General is. You've annexed in the fire station, so I went on and investigated this. And so if you'll make the motion for the resolution, I will sign it and it'll be.
Do I hear a motion to approve Resolution 2025-04, which directs the town clerk to investigate the sufficiencies, which she's already done?
And we do have to set up,
That comes
Public hearing.
next. That'll be the next, yeah.
So do I hear a motion to approve that?
I make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
So I have the certificate of sufficiency for application 2025-02, which is the fire station.
Okay.
Next.
on both of these cases, Lou, would you make sure that when you send the notices out to the people, by state law, it's got to be with 500 feet?
Well,
But
actually,
I want you to-
annexations do not require for us to actually send out notices, but we do.
We do.
And well, our steps do not, but We just do it.
And
And
I
that's
want
why we're not having the public hearing for the middle school, because those letters didn't go out in time.
And I want to make
But
sure
it
that
is
when you
not
send-
actually by law required for annexations to send letters, which is kind of strange to me, but
That was out the-
we
when
do
she
do
was
it.
already done it, if you just wanted to see it.
Oh, okay.
So you will, once you approve the next resolution, then we're setting the public hearing, and then this week I'll be sending out all the letters and the ad to the paper to have the public hearing.
Just make sure the letters reach the people that may extend beyond that 500 feet, but are in the same community.
Well, usually what I do for annexations is I do anything abutting. So,
Right,
like
right.
if they touch that land. Now, I don't know, because behind that new neighborhood, I'm drawing a blank, over there by
The one
Walmart.
Yeah. Behind
Bradford.
Yeah, that doesn't touch, so I don't know if you want me to reach out that far.
Well, I think it just needs to be noted that this is a voluntary annexation, which is always the case. And if we annex them, it doesn't mean that we can now go after the surrounding properties and annex without they
Right.
coming forward and
But the surrounding
volunteering
property
to
is the same
annex
owner.
it. True.
It is true.
But that's always the concern. That's the only argument we ever get for an
Right,
annexation.
and usually they'll call me,
Right.
because my name and number is on the letter, and I explain that to them, and as soon as I explain to them, no, we're not annexing your land in,
Right.
they're perfectly fine, they don't care if across the street is being annexed in. So, that's the only questions I've ever had before, is exactly what you said. They thought that meant we could go after theirs, and you cannot in the state of North Carolina.
So now we have to approve a resolution,
Yes, the next resolution.
the resolution 2025-05, setting a public hearing on the annexation for May 6, 2025. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
The next item on our agenda is the new town flag.
This is the hardest one.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This one's pretty straightforward. So we have a town flag. It currently flies on the battleship and outside of the police fire complex. Currently, our flag is a white background, and it has the town seal, which is on the back wall here, and then the words Nashville under it. When we got the new logo, we talked about changing the flag to that logo, but we wanted to use up the flags that we did have until we did that. So we have three options before you, and it's really your choice on what color you want.
I know what I like. Okay, town council, how do you feel about it? I personally like the white on the blue. This one
The
is my
solid blue
favorite.
background.
Yeah, that's what I was
That's
gonna say, I
my
like too.
That's your favorite.
But I
I
just,
wouldn't want this black and white because
oh,
because
that
then
won't
it
that's my-
show up.
looks like a pirate ship then.
I actually like that one over the blue and white.
Yeah, I do too. But I think it'll show up so much better with
I do like the solid
the
background.
blue solid background and the white.
What do you like, Larry?
Can I be perfectly honest? It
Yes.
really doesn't matter to me which one you put up there. But if I had to pick one, I'd pick the white, the blue on the white background. But that's just me. You're not gonna lose my vote one way or the
What
other.
did the office staff like?
What,
Blue with white.
That one.
The blue
What do you
background?
like, the blue background?
This
The
one,
blue background?
this one,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
nobody
We think
likes
it would
this?
stand
Nobody
out
likes
on the,
this?
It won't show up as pretty out there.
You don't think
it's
so?
pretty, but it won't show up
It won't
on a
show up, and I want
flagpole.
people to see. Right, exactly.
Audience, you guys like this one?
Everybody, raise your hand if you like it. Good.
You like them all?
Do I hear a motion that we choose this flag for our,
I make a motion we do that,
Second.
approve that
Wait a minute, I
one.
got another vote on this one right here. I just saw a hand go up.
second, I'm sorry.
I got a motion.
A second for this one?
We're going for the blue.
Yeah, this one.
I'll have
All
one.
those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Sure.
Okay, we have a blue background flag. The next item on our agenda is Tressa with our Budget Amendment 16.
Good afternoon. I'm before you to present two budget amendments. Budget amendment number 15 is for Coy. Since 2021, we were offered a match program with the SNAP/EBT purchases at the town of Nashville Farmers Market. Customers can receive up to $20 in matching FreshBooks tokens to purchase fresh fruits and vegetables. Grants and local businesses have sponsored this program. This budget amendment transfers unspent funds from previous years into FY25 budget for FreshBook expenses. Budget amendment number 15 increases revenues and expenditures by $1,273.
Do I hear a motion to approve the budget amendment number 15, increasing the revenue and expense for FY-25, $1,275 for the Farmers Market Fresh Book Program?
We're just moving it from last year to this year.
Yeah, well, we're moving it from 22, it was never spent.
Okay, right.
There should just be a clarification. One of the numbers is 1,273, and the other one is 1,275.
It's 73.
73.
73.
Good, okay.
Gotcha.
And just for clarification of myself, we're moving this and because it wasn't part of the budget because we don't know what it is because it's something that happens throughout the
It
time.
wasn't part of the budget because basically it fell into fund balance because it was never,
It was never used.
it was never used.
Right.
I got
But in order for him to,
Continue to offer it.
right, he's just gonna spend the remaining, what was provided for that program, he's gonna spend the rest of it
Okay.
this year.
Okay. Next, budget.
Did we vote on it?
We did. I thought we did.
Second?
I don't remember.
All those
voting
in
on it.
favor, okay, we had who made the motion?
I don't know if we did a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Okay, budget amendment number 16 acknowledges new revenue from a sub-grant provided by Nash Arts Council totaling $11,674. Out of that amount, $9,674 will be allocated for music at the market, while the remaining $2,000 will be designated for arts and education. Budget amendment 16 increases both revenues and expenditures by $11,674.
Move to approve.
Is there a
Second.
second? All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that carries. Thank you so much. Any other comments from the staff or from the council? We've got our manager is not here because he had an early grandbaby in Iowa, and of course he wanted to be out with his family. Who wouldn't want to be with a new grandbaby? And so you did a great job filling in. I think I'll keep you. Anyway, thank you so much. Any other comments, council, that you have to
A
say?
huge thank you to Tressa. I know that this has been such a massive labor of love for you, and you did a great job.
She really has worked diligently, changing everything, getting everything perfect, and we just thank you so much. We thank you for the headaches that you got with her. Any other comments?
Being no further business, I move we adjourn.
Okay, second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.